friends, I am going to grab my girl Maddy and get her on with us live so we're gonna have a little party in here today. It has been a while, y'all. It has been a while.
Hi.
You look gorgeous.
Oh, thanks. I feel like I look really rich right now.
You do look really rich. I think that's a sign. I
It's the rich hair, remember?
exactly. I feel like I look really busty right now. Like I'm really glad that this is cutting us in half because pregnancy boobs are like a whole other adventure. So sorry to all the guys did not sign up for this conversation. Well, I'm super pumped to get to chat with you. I know you have a podcast,
Yeah.
correct?
hmm
And I used to do I called them conversations with
hmm
Cass. Jacqueline's on. Hey, girl. And so I know we love to chat. And so I'm super pumped to get to talk to you today. I wanted to kind of let everyone know how we know each
hmm
other and then dive into some of the topics that we talked about. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. For those of you who are jumping in from Maddie's World, I'm Cassidy, and Maddie and I met at a retreat, a business retreat, but it actually ended up being like much more deep than business, which was really
hmm
cool. I fell in love with Maddie, obviously, and yeah, so we just wanted to jump on and talk to you guys about some of our experiences in coaching and in mental health and kind of have like a fireside chat and just kind of I like to think of my conversations anytime I'm online as like, okay, we're the last people at the party sitting around the fire and this is what's being talked about.
Oh my
This maybe is
gosh.
not what was could be said when everyone was there, but this is what we're
hmm
talking about now. So I'm gonna take a sip of my Dr. Pepper and my
Go ahead.
styrofoam cup. I'm doing all of the non-yogi things today. And yeah, how are you? What's going on in your world?
Good. I'm in Mexico City right now, in the city. It's been super fun. It's very different life, and like I'm with my aunt right now, and I'll be like, "What's that?" And she'll like explain things to me, and it's just like really cool to be in a different culture for 5 weeks.
That's so cool. What are you
hmm
doing there? Like what brought you there originally?
Well, my family is from here, my dad's side, and a lot of them couldn't make the wedding just because visas and things like that. So I was like, I haven't been here in 6 years. I'm like, I'm gonna go, and then I was like, I'm gonna go for 5 weeks. So here we are.
So
hmm
fun. 5 weeks because you can work from
hmm
anywhere. Do you want to tell
Yep.
everyone what you do? Like I see Caitlin's on, hey girl. I see some people from my world and I want to make sure they know what all you do.
Yeah, I'm a women's health and fitness coach, and I primarily work with women to show them how they can eat more food and get stronger to reach their goals instead of always dieting and doing a ton of cardio. So it's a lot of inner strength and building your body to reach the goals that you want.
Well, I love that.
Mm.
I'm pregnant right now, for those who don't know, and I love the idea of just getting to eat more and more and more. So that's fantastic. Well,
And for my crowd, go ahead, tell them what you do as well.
yeah, yeah. So I am full time in the yoga and mindfulness space. So I typically work with individuals who would consider themselves high performers, specifically CEOs, entrepreneurs, coaches, and we focus on stress resilience. So not just managing stress, but actually growing your ability to hold more stress
Mhm.
through yoga practices and mindfulness tools, a lot of ancient philosophy that is really applicable to modern life when translated well. So I'm kind of a translator between the old yogic world and business and career. And then I work with quite a few companies to help them bring mindfulness into the workplace. And again, using those yoga practices and mindfulness practices to deepen their career experience personally and of course to grow in their profession. So it's
Mhm.
really fun. I love it. My background is that I was super burned out, quit my dream job at like 27 because of burnout. And
Mhm.
so as I recovered my hope and my joy has always been to like help other people not have to quit, but to really make it for the long haul in what they were called to do and what they're passionate about, so that burnout isn't messing up, the dreams on their heart. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
That's really cool. And we could definitely talk about for someone like myself, who's definitely like a type A, who whenever I do try to do any type of meditation or mindset work, it's really hard to focus because my mind is like going to the next thing. So we can definitely like hit on that today too, for how much time, however long we end up going on tangents.
Yeah, I would love that. One of the things I like to tell people is so often we think that like meditation or mindfulness has to look a certain way. Like we
Hmm.
expect that it means like clearing the mind or not focusing on anything
Hmm.
else. And I'm very type A also, and that does not work because the more I try to think
Hmm.
about nothing,
Hmm.
the more I'm thinking about everything. And
Right,
I'm not just
right.
thinking about everything, but now I'm judging myself that I'm
Yep,
not good at this,
yep.
because as type A people, we tend to be good at things that we try.
Hmm.
And so now I'm not just not doing it, but I have something that I feel like I'm not good at. And so
Hmm.
a lot of times with meditation, it's more about witnessing than it is actually clearing. The
Hmm.
clearing will come. That oftentimes for people could be years or decades down the road. But the starting place is really witnessing.
Hmm.
So, oh, okay, I see a thought coming by, and almost treating it like the clouds or the wind,
Hmm.
and seeing it, and then practicing that release of judgment. And that actually builds our capacity to be in the stillness, to even be alone, right? Like
Hmm.
if anyone has trouble being alone, I know I used to, right? We like turn on the TV, or we always have music playing, or we have to be calling a friend. Like it's hard to be alone in the quiet. A lot of times it has to do with our own ability to just be with ourselves.
Hmm.
And so the more we can face that judgment, the more, like, I know for myself, okay, like when I really started this work, I had a lot of expectations on myself to be a certain way, to be perfect in whatever way I deemed perfect
Hmm.
looking. And so when I would get alone with myself, I would see every way that I wasn't living up to my own expectations. And it was hard and it sucked. And I had a really hard time just being alone with myself because of that. And so the more we can incorporate that sense of seeing ourselves without judging
Hmm.
ourselves, the easier it is to be alone and to find that quiet. So,
Yeah, I feel like whenever I say, "Oh, I love being alone," but then when he's brought up, like you have something playing in the background, you have music, you have a show, I'm like, "Oh God, that's me," because I always have something on, just like to hear something. So I guess like my, ability to be alone maybe isn't as like great as I thought it was because I love, my own time, but I also probably struggle a lot with like complete silence.
mm,
Um, I did a float tank. It's like those salt ones where you like lay in and it's like I almost said sleep deprivation, sensory
that's
deprivation.
nice.
Not sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation, and you're literally floating in like a couple inches of water. That's it. But there's so much salt in there, it lifts you up. And it was pitch black. There was, I think they had a little bit of noise. I had them turn on like some kind of sound because I kept hearing people like leaving, and it was kind of annoying. But that was like a totally different experience because I heard like you felt nothing. You didn't even feel the water even. Um, if anyone hasn't done that before or who struggles with like I feel like I get overstimulated easily if I'm like trying to make a decision on something or think about something. I do turn things off. But that was like kind of like a reset to like sensory things when you're in there and it's pitch black, there's no sound, no nothing. It was a really cool experience.
I've been wanting to do that,
Yeah.
especially being pregnant. It's almost
Mm.
like everything is like turned up, like
Mm.
the every sense, not just noise, but like every sensory thing is
Hmm.
like so intense.
Hmm.
So I need to go do that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I might start doing it like once a month once I get back because they were really fun. I
Uh,
liked it.
well, so how did you get into what you do now? How did you
As
get
in
into coaching?
coaching.
Yeah.
I kind of like fell into it in a way. I was always like super athletic growing up, and then I was doing CrossFit like way back when, like in high school. And the one of the owners was like, "You would make a great coach," and I was like, I don't know." And she's like, you would. I want you to be a coach." So she actually like paid for me to get like my certification because like I was like in I believe I was in college by then, but I didn't know what I was doing. And then I was coaching CrossFit all of a sudden. And then years down the road, now I'm head coach of a gym, and I started my business a couple years like into school, and then by the time I was a head coach of a gym, I was like, I don't want this anymore. I want to just work on my business. So then I started my business in when 2018 December, and then I went full time a couple years later. But I've always been into, getting stronger and fitness and those sides of things. And I had a lot of body image issues. I had a lot of just internally struggling with wanting to eat more food, but not knowing how to, getting stronger. Like I kind of fell into that trap in high school where, I think like we all did. Like I was talking to a high school friend. I'm like, I think we all had disordered eating patterns like at the same time. Like a lot of women do, unfortunately, in high school because you're just very self-conscious. And I knew I was like, I never want to go back to that feeling in my life ever again, where I'm counting food on my fitness pal and it's like literally under 1,000 calories while I'm active. Yeah. I have like distinct memories of doing that. And then I knew like I just want to help women get stronger. So I just started working on just helping women get stronger and showing them, hey, like I understand you want to lose 20, 30 pounds, but what if we focus on getting stronger instead of I got to see the scale go down, I have to eat less.
Yeah.
And a cool thing happens when you nourish your body and then when you focus on strength and not just like a size.
Yeah. Isn't that so wild that we are geared to like look, hi Ariel, like looking at, oh, and hi Hannah, how fun. Hi people. Um, like we're geared to like for whatever reason to wanting to be smaller. And
Hmm.
I know like I grew up in the 90s, and so there's a lot of talk of like that was the style of model.
Hmm.
And I've heard a friend talk about it before too, of like what's trendy, like
Hmm.
beauty and trends rather than
Yep.
just like innate beauty. And I don't know, I don't know why, but like it feels like different parts of our life, like at least for me, have revealed new things about my body image that I wasn't always expecting.
Hmm.
Like when I first got pregnant, this is my context right now, right? Like I'm pregnant. So like a lot of my experience right now is changing as I'm growing. Like my body is growing. And I remember, and this is gonna be really vulnerable and people might judge this, but I'm gonna be honest. Um, I remember like the first 3, 4 months, I was really sick. So like when I saw you, when I met you, I was still really sick. I was like
Hmm.
just at the tail end of like vomiting every day.
Wow.
And well, yeah, we had to pull over a few times.
Well, yeah, but I didn't think you were I thought it was kind of like, oh, normal.
Yeah, I was dying.
You held it together really well.
Thanks. So the first 4 months, I lost like 10
Oh
pounds. And I
my gosh.
remember, and I remember stepping on the scale and like, okay, simultaneously, multiple things can be, for me, lots of things can be true at once. So it's not
Hmm.
like just one thing of this is true, but like,
Hmm.
okay, I want my body to grow because I'm growing a baby. I want my baby to be healthy. Obviously, like I'm so desperately want my baby to be healthy. I don't want to be sick anymore. Like I don't want to be vomiting after every
Hmm.
meal 12
Hmm.
times a day, whatever. Like, right, so that's all true. But
Hmm.
then simultaneously, anytime I stepped on the scale and saw it go down, there's this little piece of me that's like, yeah, because that is
Oh.
like,
Hmm.
that is the world in which
Ingrained
I,
society standard.
yes,
Yeah.
that was not my home life. My mom's very healthy. She's always just been
Hmm.
like strong and healthy, and weight was never a thing. Body image was never a thing. But I still grew up in this world,
Hmm.
right? And so I remember having those, like that little piece of me, that little part of my, probably teenage brain that's like,
Mhm.
woohoo.
Mhm.
And then conversely, as I've started to gain weight, I've now put on, it's hard to say because I lost a bunch of weight, but like from my typical weight, I probably am up maybe 12, 13 pounds.
Mhm.
And to see the scale go up
Mhm.
has been this really interesting thing of like, okay, yes, I want this, right? My mature, full adult brain is like, this is right, this is good. And then that little
Mhm.
teenage piece of me is like, oh no, my body's getting bigger.
Mhm.
Can I still be beautiful? Can I still be sexy? Can I still be all of these
Mhm.
things? And I don't know that I would have seen that teenage piece of my brain so much. I like the idea that this is the teenage piece of my brain. Um, I don't know if I would have seen that so much had it not been in this context where it was so obvious, right? But
Mhm.
how often do we do that with ourselves through seasons of sickness or seasons
Mhm.
of change where our weight is changing, our body's changing, and we're so quick to be like, I don't know, like it's not a moral
Mhm.
thing for our body size is not a moral thing. It's
Mhm.
not like good or bad or right or wrong. It's just what's happening. And so, anyways, I don't know. It's been really interesting to zoom out and be like, oh wow, this piece still lives in there. I'm
Mhm.
not judging it, but it is interesting to observe it. And then of course, like hopefully, especially if you're pregnant, you're not trying to
Mhm.
control that weight in such a way that maybe we would have done in high school or we would have
Yeah.
done at other points in our lives. I don't know, it's just really humbling to see like, oh, that piece still lives. That piece still lives in my brain and it's there. And speaking of meditation, that's a great observation.
That is. And I feel like I can 100% kind of reciprocate that feeling because right now, like I am very much someone that like tracks their food, makes sure they're eating enough, and it's very different eating here. One, I work from home, so like I'm making all my meals. I'm, very much in control here. I'm not so much in control. They don't really eat a huge breakfast. They have like a big lunch and like a dinner and like coffee in the morning. So like my eating patterns have been different, and I've probably been eating less than I normally do, which is like I'm sometimes ravenous. But I had like a thought in my head the other day, kind of like how you said, like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, if I came back lighter, I wouldn't be as annoyed if I came back heavier. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Like again, that still lives in our brain. And like I said, like you said, like I'm not trying to judge it, but it's kind of like, how long do these things take to like get out of our brain? Like I just feel like so much of, like we said, society is so weight focused, outward beauty focused, like all those things focused. And it just leaches into like every way that we think, even when we feel like, oh, we're on this like healed, level where I don't think about those things anymore. I'm not nitpicking myself as much. But then it's still very much present where I'm like, oh, if I was less, it's not as bad as being heavier. But in reality, like it's probably not going to be any different because my patterns are so like ingrained, habits.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I can very much understand like that still lives in me after how many years of where I feel like I'm in a better position than I was in high school for sure, hands down.
Totally. Okay, I want to talk about this because I find this piece really interesting, and I don't know very many people who have been doing things for a long time. Like what I do, it tends to bring in people who are newer in their yoga practice or
Hmm.
are newer to caring about their
Hmm.
health, their stress management. Like for us, we've been doing this. Like to hear you say, like, I'm pretty ingrained in my habits, that's how I feel too. I'm like, these are my habits. This is what I do. I don't
Hmm.
have to think a ton about a few different categories. I don't have to think a ton about my food.
Hmm.
I can feel if I'm like off because I've been eating, maybe I've been on vacation and I'm like, okay, that's not how I usually eat. I don't feel great. It's easy for me to come back to my center
Hmm.
without any big extreme choices. When it comes to my mental health, if I feel like, okay, I've gotten off some of my my typical things that I do, it's easy for me to come back to center again because these habits are deeply ingrained. So
Hmm.
I don't come off of them very often. And then when I do, it's like, okay, we just move back to center. And it
Hmm.
doesn't even feel for me like an overly controlled place where I'm like, and now I have to get back here. Hey, Cody.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordan. It doesn't even feel like I'm like controlling every little thing in my life because that doesn't work for me personally. But it does feel like I was writing about this the other day. It does feel like I don't have any huge stories of like, well, yesterday I was stressed out of my mind and I did these 5 things and now I'm not because I do those 5 things as a
Mm,
regular
yeah.
thing. And so I tend not to get off my center
Yeah.
very often. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, like you and I feel the same way. I don't feel like at this point in my life, I'm like, oh, I got to get back on the wagon,
Yes,
right? Like the
exactly.
wagon is just my life.
Yes.
Like I'm just drinking water all day. I'm eating like a very protein-rich meal even when I'm traveling. I'm still exercising. Like it
Yes.
doesn't take a lot of effort, a lot of like mental bandwidth to do these things. And I feel like when you get to this level, not that me and Cassidy are like, we're better than you. Not at all. We've just been practicing these things that are so ingrained in our life that it doesn't take a lot of energy for us to do. And I think that's why we can accomplish our health goals a lot easier.
And tell me if this is true for you too, but I almost find that we almost sometimes like the big extreme changes are so glorified.
Hmm.
And I don't want people to miss out on that it's a lifestyle. And when it's a lifestyle, it actually becomes so easy that it's a no-brainer. Does that
Hmm.
mean I still have to think about it? Yes. Like I still have to think about brushing my teeth, even though I've been doing it since I was probably 4 years old. I still have
Hmm.
to go, okay, let me like I still think about it. And if I forget, I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go brush my teeth. But it's just what I do. And I don't want people to miss out on how powerful it can be when it becomes that easy and is such a no-brainer because then you can think about so many other things.
Yeah.
Like I remember in the beginning, like specifically with my mental health journey, like every waking moment was about figuring out my mental health. And I know this can be true for people when they're struggling with weight or feeling healthy. It's like
Hmm.
every waking moment,
Hmm.
the thought is around figuring this out, or once you figured it out, controlling it. And there's something so sweet about like, this is just what happens.
Hmm.
But like, I'm talking like mental health wise, I'm talking like 7, 8 years in. And
Hmm.
like that, the like ease of it probably only started happening a few years ago,
Hmm.
you know? So it's like, but it really is, and I would love to hear what it is for you, but I feel like for me, it's the consistency. It's like it's not trying like people have been talking about nervous system regulation a lot,
Hmm.
which I love. I love that this is like a topic. I love that people are actually having this conversation. But like nervous system regulation is not just like when we're in a fight or flight response and now we have to figure it out. Hey, Amy, like nervous system regulation is like how we lead ourselves all the time. It's
Hmm.
not just the like fight or flight or trauma response or stress response. Like it's not just that moment. It's literally how we are facilitating our inner world all the time. It's not, yeah. So, anyways, that's my soapbox. Stepping off my soapbox now.
No, I agree completely. I just wrote an email on consistency actually because I was thinking about something that happened while I was here. And it's true, like that is that you just have to keep at it. Like, what do they say when that old saying, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? Like one bite at a time. And that's
Mhm.
just the same thing with like, how do you keep up with, exercising while you're doing all these things and life's crazy. And it's funny because on my podcast with Allie, the co-host, my co-host, we always talk like we probably repeat ourselves like a lot just because like everything is synonymous when you're talking about health. And I always say like, what was I trying to say? When you're going through really hard things, people tend to say, "Oh, right now is not a good time to work on my health. X is happening. Oh, the holidays are here. This is happening. I can't start yet." or a tragedy happened. And we always say, like, learning how to get through the tough times is the best asset you can have because, unfortunately, but guess what? Tough times are coming no matter what. Christmas is not canceled next year. Christmas is going to be here. December and the year after that. So if you don't learn how to get yourself through those times while maintaining some type of healthy routine or prioritizing yourself in some capacity, you're going to fail the next time it comes up when it's going to come up soon rather than later, unfortunately. So those are like
Mm.
the biggest things I always see, whether it's with new clients, they struggle through that and then they realize, oh, I can do this, or people who just can't get on the ship to start prioritizing themselves because the next thing comes up and they don't know how to do that while something is happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. Do you feel like your like upbringing prepared you for this?
Oh, yes.
Or okay, yeah, like I feel like the like what I saw my family do is why it's just normal. And I know not
Mm,
everybody has that. Like some great friends, like they had to decide they were going to be the ones who did it for the first time so that their kids could do it for the first time.
mhm,
But I know it's not always common. Like a lot of I feel really lucky. Like a lot of my tools were passed down,
mm,
which I'm grateful for.
mhm. Yeah, I was just talking about this with my aunt because her a lot of the things that I do in my life, she was like, yeah, my mom taught me that, and that's my grandma. And I'm like, and she said, like, her mother really instilled in her three kids to be very independent and to be problem solvers. And that's exactly how my dad raised my sister and I. We're very independent, we're problem solvers, and we just keep going because you just have to keep going, whatever it is. I wrote a post. It was like, how on Facebook you can write like really quick snippet posts where it's just a colored background. It was something like, you have to prioritize your goals because life's going to happen. And it was like the number of people like, so true, because it is true. Like it's going to happen anyway. And I'm really grateful, like you said, that I had that growing up. And like, when I was younger and something happened, my dad would be like, figure it out. Like I'll help you halfway, but you figure out the rest. And that even one thing that's funny is like when I was bored when I was little, I would be like, Dad, like, what am I going to do? And he'd be like, make a list and complete it. And now I'm addicted to making lists. And that's how I run my life. Like, I have things I need to accomplish. And if you want to use this for your health, think of like a power list, like 3 items. What 3 things? They could be so small. And I don't mean small as in like, I don't want to say drinking water is small for someone because sometimes it's really hard and I get that. So whatever it is for you, whether it's I gotta drink water, I need to brush my teeth before bed, like I need to take my medicine, whatever it is, have those 3 things that you can do and do really well, cross them off, build confidence, and add more once those are easy. Like we were kind of saying before, how it doesn't take us a lot of brain power to complete something. That's what I
Mhm.
mean. Once you're not having to write it down and remind yourself, then you can add something new. But back to what you said, very much ingrained in my childhood, and really thankful for that.
Yeah. And I don't want people to be discouraged if they're like, well, I didn't have that because
Hmm.
the reality is like I still have to make my own
Hmm.
choices. Like
Yeah.
Maddie and I still are like choosing to do something. And
Hmm.
so it's not like just because we had that, we are like off the hook for
Hmm.
making the choice for ourselves.
Hmm.
Like, and I love what you're talking about building confidence too. I was talking about boundaries the other day, and someone was like, "But how do you keep boundaries?" So I've been thinking about it all week because boundaries for me is one of those that there was a time when I had to work really hard at it, and now it's so natural that I almost have to be like, "Wait, how did I do that? How
Hmm.
did I like keep my boundaries?" And there are so many people who are saying like this is how you communicate your boundaries and this is how you get other people to keep your boundaries,
Hmm.
but in my opinion it is how we are keeping our own boundaries, and that starts with what do we want.
Hmm.
And I think so often like I say we the human experience is to like put the responsibility on someone else and like their
Hmm.
choices.
Yeah.
But we build confidence by knowing what we want, following through with what we said we're going to do.
Hmm.
Like, we don't build confidence by doing what we think everybody else wants us to do.
Hmm.
We don't build confidence even by fulfilling other people's needs. Like, we build confidence by knowing what we want, following through on it, and
Hmm.
like seeing the life that we desire actually come to pass.
Yeah.
And I think that piece of self-confidence is so often overlooked of like it builds confidence to say, I'm gonna put on my tennis shoes today, even if I don't do any kind of exercise, but I'm gonna put my tennis shoes on and I'm gonna check that off my list because then I did it and I did it for me and I didn't do it for anyone else.
Hmm.
And it's like just one little step at a time. Like that's really where I started in a lot of ways. Is like
Hmm.
I'm gonna put my yoga outfit on, even if I don't feel like practicing yoga, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my tennis shoes on, even if I don't feel like going for a run.
I mean, that's such like a mindset switch. Like even today, I put on this outfit and I'm like, I feel rich today. You know, because I knew we had our talk today and I'm going to be a guest on a podcast. I'm like, I want to feel really good about myself and what I'm wearing. Changing, putting on gym clothes, putting on your shoes. That's exactly it. It's kind of like faking it till you make it. And once you kind of feel good in what you're wearing, feel like, okay, I could do this, like it just puts you another step forward to getting closer to where you want to go.
Totally, totally. What's your other podcast today? Is it yours?
No, no. It is, this is terrible. I'm forgetting the
Okay.
name. It's like JC. I feel so bad. I'm literally doing it today. I didn't look at the actual name.
Fun.
But yeah, it's a finance podcast, talking about how I paid off my student loans a couple years ago.
Wait, can we get the early bird scoop?
Yeah, he's just asking me like he does a podcast on people that paid off their loans and how they did it, and I paid off over, well, barely over, but $38,000 in student loans in a year a couple years ago. I know. And so we'll just be talking about that and like how I did it. And like, side note, I like sold everything I had.
Yeah.
Just like stuff around the house. And I had a very boring life, but it was during the pandemic. So like no one was doing anything. But yeah, that's how I did that. So I'll be doing
Oh,
that. I know it's fun.
wait,
Um,
that's incredible.
yeah, it was super fun. So that'll be fun. I'm doing that after this. Oh, but something about boundaries I wanted to hit on. Because I feel like there has to be, I don't know how many like quote unquote people pleasers there are in the world, but I'm sure there are a lot.
Mhm.
I, for one, am one of those. I feel like I always want to leave an interaction or a relationship or whatever with, "Oh, I really hope they like me," or what if I offended them, like overanalyzing what I said. And, even on this trip, like I had family come visit and they were like, "Oh, do you want to go out to dinner?" And it was like 10 at night. And I was like, in my mind, I was kind of like going back and forth. I'm like, well, like I kind of want to go, but like I told myself I didn't want to go because I want to go to bed. Like I go to bed early and I want to wake up tomorrow and work out and get a shower and go on my day. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay home. And I went to bed. And like part of me was like wanting to go to make them happy. And then I remembered like, what do I want to do? I want to go to bed and wake up early. It sounds boring, but that's what I want to do. And it's like a muscle you have to flex, that boundary muscle, and feeling okay with saying no to things because you want to do something else.
Yeah. And like knowing that you're worth it.
Hmm.
Like you, like if anyone's perspective of us is so fragile that saying no to dinner is going to make them not like us. Well, that
Hmm.
if it wasn't dinner, it was going to be something else.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
if it wasn't that we said no to dinner, it was going to be that we said no to them offering us a glass of water the next time we're at their house. Like,
Hmm.
and we can't please those people.
Hmm. And I think about how many people are afraid to say no to drinks, to staying out late, to food maybe they didn't want, or there's activities they didn't want to do that are going to, put a sidebar on the goals they're working towards because they want them to be happy and not feel bad. And I know like my mom, she like wants to feed everyone, like, oh, have some, have some, have some, and how many times I'm like, no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine, no, I'm fine, and just
Mm-hmm.
being okay with saying that because I don't want that at the moment or whatever it is.
And then even like with that, like the I can so relate to the like not I'm from Texas and hospitality is like the thing. Which here in Mexico, hospitality is the
Uh-huh.
thing. Like saying no to someone's food almost used to feel offensive.
Hmm.
And it was almost like I felt like I was rejecting them. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, like it's my body.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like it's your body. It is
Hmm.
literally yours. Like I remember like I just remember times where like okay maybe my I couldn't have a lot of dairy at certain times because it would hurt my stomach, but I would still say yes because I felt bad, and literally I was
Hmm.
eating things that made me feel shitty
Yeah.
because I was worried that they didn't wouldn't like I was worried I was gonna offend them. And it's
Yeah.
like we yeah we just and now again like back to consistency, like now I don't even think about it. If I want something I have it, if I don't want something I don't have it.
Yeah.
But it's the same way with our boundaries, just like with our health. Like when we make it a habit, when it creates consistency, it becomes a no-brainer. But I think it's those like first few years
Yes.
that people are it's like the hardest. It's like no, just keep going and I promise it will
Get
get
better.
easier. Yes. And like
Yeah.
there might be some things that like you still have the teenage brain about or whatever where you still think an old way, but that doesn't mean it controls your choices.
Hmm.
Like, anyways, um, I know that you have your podcast coming up. Is there anything that you want to make sure everybody hears about what you've got going on as far as programs or offerings right now, or anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure we talk about?
No, I feel like we did really well. I know I'll keep talking forever, so maybe I should stop.
You're great.
We should definitely plan another one for
I
sure.
know. I want to be on your podcast if y'all
Yes,
take
yes,
guests.
yes, yes, yes,
I'm
yes,
gonna
we
put
are.
myself out
No,
there.
no, no. We and Allie were talking about like we need to, we really wanted to have like a good amount of episodes just us because we were like working up the kinks. Like it was a little if you start listening, like get through the first couple episodes, it gets
Okay.
better.
How long have y'all been doing it?
We're right now we're bi-weekly, so I think we just recorded episode 7 or 8, but episode
I
6,
didn't realize it
go ahead.
was that new. So you guys haven't even had guests on yet.
No, no. So we're
Oh,
probably starting, you could probably be the first one. We have like a
awesome.
list of like, hopefuls one days.
I would love that.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we were going to start bringing some on soon, just to like mix it up and, bring some different people and different things to talk about. But as far as like things right now, I have Black Friday deals coming out for one-on-one coaching and for my Start to Lift program, which is a beginner lifting program that teaches you how to lift from ground zero. The deals are coming out on Friday, which is like this week. So you can head to my page and then I'll have all the stuff dropped for that. So you'll be able to see that.
Okay, cool. Tell us a little bit more about Start to Lift. Like I remember you were sharing it for the first time,
Hmm.
I think when we met.
Yeah.
What all does it include? It looks awesome.
So it is a 18-week program that you can do 3 times through. So it's actually over a year long. And it teaches you how to lift from like literally not knowing how to squat. I made sure that it could take anyone who doesn't know how to lift, who's afraid to go to the gym, or who has very limited equipment. So you could I have all the instructions in there, but bands and like a pair of dumbbells or two. So it's very beginner friendly. And everything in there, if you're like, what is like a squat? How do I do that? You click on it and it's me explaining how to do it. So it's very much like guiding your way all the way through how many reps, how many sets, what do I do if I miss a day? So a very comprehensive program, and it's like literally I was laughing because I was talking to Kelsey, if you know Kelsey, Dr. Kelsey, yeah. She was saying to me, she's like, "Do you ever see how coaches say less than a cup of coffee a week?" I'm like, "Wait, I did say that because it's less than $1.50 a week, which is literally insane for
Yeah.
how much programming you're getting." So the first round we did went really well, so I'm excited for the next one starting in December. But it's open; you can enroll whenever you want. You can complete it on your own time, which is great. Hmm.
Cool. Okay, and then one-to-one coaching,
Hmm.
what does that look like?
So it depends on kind of what the person needs. I always like to say that because someone might not need as much support as others. But everything is personalized. I'm very big on taking the person where they're at. So whether you're like, I have no equipment or I have no idea what a macro is, we will start from there. It's nutrition and fitness training. I have my own app, so everything is in there. And it's a lot of support to make sure you're not feeling alone in the journey to reach whatever goal you want to reach.
Cool.
Hmm.
Oh, awesome. Okay, guys. Well, go see Maddie's profile. Check out her Black Friday deals. Her emails are so fun. If you're not on her email list, get on her email list. I have Year of Yoga out right now. It is open for registration. We start January 1st, but the group, when you sign up, you get access to 3 programs right away. Goals, strong, and be kind to your mind. So, reaching your goals with ease, a strength-based yoga series, 40 classes, it's awesome. And then Be Kind to Your Mind is yoga for mental health. And you get access to the virtual yoga studio starting on December 1st. So, lots of good things happening.
Hmm.
Um, so excited that we got to chat with you guys all today. Maddie, no pressure to have me on your
No, no, no.
podcast. I
I
feel like it's
promise.
so new. I was like, oh, they've been doing this forever. Like they're probably
No.
like looking for people to be on it. Like, so just no
No.
pressure. My
No,
feelings
we
won't be hurt.
do.
But
No, I
I'm
promise we do.
I'm super
We,
excited for y'all.
yeah, I was gonna say, Allie and I are both very like lifting strength focused. So I think having that different perspective, yoga, mental health, mindset, I think that will be really good to have on. So no, for sure we will have you on.
That would be so fun. I am so ready to get back to lifting. Like, I love yoga, obviously. Yoga, I say, is really for my mental health more than
Hmm.
anything. And then cardio, I like to run. Running is more for my heart health and my my like also my brain health, but lifting is
Hmm.
what I really love for my body. Like you can get really strong practicing yoga, you can get really toned practicing yoga if you're doing the right things, like the strong series. But as far as like I'm like, oh, I just have all these really great goals for my body and I can't wait to start lifting again. I know you can lift while you're pregnant, but I've been through a lot. It's not what's going to happen for me right now.
Hmm.
But I'm so ready to start lifting again. So, anyways, a few months and I'll be back.
Oh, you're gonna love it. You'll feel so good.
Oh, I cannot wait. I'm like, all I want to do is some squats
Especially
with the weight.
with the baby, especially when
Yes.
you have them on one side a lot, that's going to be super helpful to kind of balance you out more too.
Things even.
Hmm.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I hope your podcast goes well
Thank
that you're going to
you.
be on today. And I will try to make sure that this links us both. I think I know how to do that. And I love you. I'll see
I
you
love you
soon.
too. See you
Thanks
soon.
for being on.
Bye.
Bye.